So let's bring in retired general and NBC News military analyst Barry McCaffrey to talk a little bit more about this. General, thank you so much for being with us this afternoon. I'd like to get your top line reaction here to the president's decision, and also your reflections on what Courtney and I were just talking about, the state of play between our commander in chief, if only for a few months, and the Pentagon that he has been leading.
Well, first of all, we ought to assume that this signals that Mr. Trump does not see himself as commander-in-chief for only a few more months. It makes no logical sense whatsoever to fire somebody who's highly qualified with literally weeks until you turn over this office. So put me down, on Brian Williams a couple nights ago, I said this is a period of enhanced vigilance over the security forces of the U.S. I'd say we ought to be apprehensive about what's going on. I don't have a handle on the new nominee. I'm sure he's a good man, but this is an unusual move. There's only, Americans need to understand that the uniformed military don't give orders to the armed forces. That's the President of the United States and the Secretary of Defense, to the 9 joint commanders globally commanding the actual operating forces. So we ought to be worried about this. They will follow orders of the President of the United States unless they're illegal. So the Senate's got to step up to this now and say, what is going on? What are you up to?
Yeah, I mean, to kind of try and dig into that a little bit, I mean, what do you think the ramifications are of only having an acting Secretary of Defense here in this period? Does that give the president more leeway in certain areas? Is there anything in particular that you're watching for? I know we talked a little bit earlier about some of the reasons why there was conflict between Esper and Trump. On Capitol Hill, I've covered the arguments back and forth about renaming bases and roads and other things in the military that are named for Confederate generals. What do you see as the consequences, assuming, and I take your point absolutely, but assuming that he does actually vacate the office in 2 months, what are you most worried about in that period of time?
Well, we have global national security interests. They're the Chinese, the Iranians, the North Koreans, the Russians and others are watching what's going on. This is utter chaos. It looks like patent illegality in many ways. The GSA not allowing the transition process to begin. And people could try and take advantage of. The Chinese have moved some substantial military forces, hypersonic missiles, air power up threatening Taiwan. Will they act? Could we see, autocratic moves on the part of Mr. Putin against the Baltic states? So we need some stability right through the transition. This makes no sense. Department of Homeland Security, Department of Defense, and Department of Justice are the 3 coercive agencies of the U.S. government. These are the people with guns and badges and the ability to carry out high-intensity operations. What is Mr. Trump up to? He's supposed to leave office at noon on January 20th. Why is he installing an acting DOD secretary? It should be a cause for alarm in the U.S. Congress.